claim a dragon, you must also be prepared to die.
You have the arrogance of youth. Have the indignities of your childhood not yet sufficiently been avenged?
You have seen me a ruler, and the symbols of authority are not jewels and gowns, but the shield and the sword.
My uncle is a challenge I welcome, if he dares face me.
You will still never match the strength of the Green Armies. We need Daemon.
This is a matter of blood, not ambition.
Feel what I've begun.
We chew the fat and give you our gut reactions on all things pop culture, film, TV and theatre. We talk the legends in the creative industry and those on the rise. We game old school. We do all of this, and a whole lot more. Like, subscribe and get involved. Join Steen Anthony Nielsen and the Outcast Creative.
Putting my lights on. And welcome to episode 6, review and discussion of House of Dragon. Wow, what an episode. What an episode. So much to say, so much to delve into. We've got a great panel lined up tonight. A couple of new people coming in as well to join our regular crew. Are we having Northern Bastard on today? I was a little confused.
I hope
Do
not.
we know? Well, while we're figuring that out, we're going to bring Leroy in the house. How's it going?
How you guys doing?
Gotcha. How laggy?
Doing good, Leroy. Doing good.
Greetings
Good
from
to
the
see you.
country of Bahamas.
You're currently in the Bahamas.
Yep.
Oh man,
I'm in my hotel room.
Don't talk to me about that country. Right, okay. Let's move on. So we've also got Darth Plato has come back.
What's up, Darth?
Hi, guys.
Good to see you. I'm glad to hear that you've got your usual mic background noise occurring. All good.
Okay, let me see if I can.
And also joining us today as well, a fellow writer, Leroy, Douglas A. Barton is joining us on the channel.
Douglas Burton. That name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I like that. How are you guys doing?
Author of The Heroine's Labyrinth, which you can find your way through with a needle and thread and avoid the monitor. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Thanks for joining us, Doug. I think you've watched some of these before in the chat, so you've probably got an idea of the format. I'm going to kind of go through the story at breakneck pace, and then
It's great to meet a fellow author.
Discussing.
How you doing, Douglas?
Right. Pretty good. It's great to be on with you guys. This is excellent.
So this is a top-notch panel. Thank God we're not all middle-aged white guys, but apart from that, it's fantastic. You know,
He's middle-aged.
Yeah, well, we're all middle-aged. Yeah, good, but you know, so yeah, I'm really pleased to have everybody on. Thanks for giving up your time to come on the channel. The kind of this whole period of this month is the 2nd year anniversary of the channel, so it's all quite special. So we're kind of embracing that celebration throughout this time. It was also my birthday last week.
Happy birthday, Lance. Or happy belated birthday.
Thanks very much. I had a birthday stream. About 20 people hopped onto that, which was really lovely. And then we also had the 2nd year anniversary stream just yesterday, and a whole lot of people came on that. So definitely feeling the love in the room.
Well, congrats and happy birthday.
Thank you very much, sir.
21 again.
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great to be 21 again. If I was, but I feel good. We lost Darth momentarily. That happens pretty normally. It's the evil Jedi trying to disconnect him again. All right, so we won't waste any time because there's lots to talk about. Welcome back, Darth. Let's get into it. So I'm going to do my usual. I'm going to break through the plot breakdown, and as usual, Darth will jump in and correct me with any names that I get wrong, which at least there's usually 2 or 3 mistakes per week.
Which will be about every 5 seconds.
That's right, absolutely. So, but there's a lot to say about this episode. Blue will scroll through some stills as I discussed. Try and pause your thoughts for the moment. I want to get through this quickly, and we will get to everything, and everybody will get a chance to speak on each relevant section. So we open on red capes on horseback. Obviously, this is House Lannister. We can tell by their sigil and their uniform, approaching a castle. I wondered which castle this was on the map. Does anyone know? Because I'm keen
They called it the Golden Tooth.
The Golden Keep. Okay, so I'm going to get my map of Westeros off. I think it's always good to understand the geography of where things are taking place in this show. And I like shows that go to some effort to make that possible. I think it's quite an important part of world building and stuff like that. So we've got the House of Dragon. I've got the map coming up. It's doing lots of things with graphics. I'll put it up in oh, there we go. Map of the known world. All right, we'll get up in a minute. Mosho, thank you for popping in. Good to see you. It's Martin's Muse. It's great to see you also. So here is Westeros. This is the official HBO Westeros map. There you go.
Yes.
This is called, did you say it's called the Golden Keep? Is that right?
It should be in the Westerlands, yes.
In the yeah, because the Lannisters have gone there to sort of like recruit help, and there's something called the Golden Tooth. Would that be it?
Yeah, that's it. It was called the Golden Tooth.
The Golden Tooth. There we go. So fantastic. Okay, so that's where this whole opening sequence is taking place, quite far away from the other action.
From Harrenhal and King's Landing.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting to place it. I didn't think it was quite as far as that, but these are obviously
Lance.
What's that?
Yeah, Lance. Since you have the map up, I just want to point out that if you turn the map sideways so that King's Landing is on the south, you basically have the map of Europe.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
wow.
So the Westerlands is basically England. The Reach is basically France. Dorne is basically Spain. The North is basically Russia.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God. You know what? I never noticed that before, but you're not far wrong.
And the what do you call it? The Erie, that part of the whatever that part of the land is called is that's Switzerland.
Wow.
That's that's pretty observant, man. Darth, this is why we love having you on the show. Okay, anyway, let me push on. So let's get back to the stills here. Some lovely production design and costume stuff happening here, which we'll get into later. So it's Tyland's Lannister's brother. Oh, I've even got this in my notes. He arrives at the Golden Tooth, who offers them 500 men. And this guy is as sarcastic as the Lannisters get. I actually thought this was the Lannister. I thought this was Tyland Lannister when I first saw this scene. I didn't realize it was his brother because we haven't seen Tyland Lannister in his full battle armor, and I couldn't see him clearly. This does in that still. He really looked like Lord of Toxicity in that still. Which is quite weird.
I thought that was Jason.
Yeah, but it is his brother. Do we know this full character's name? Because in the episode, I didn't catch it if it was in the episode. But he decides he's staying at Golden Tooth. He's not going to advance further west until he receives notice that Prince Aemond is going to join them with the dragon. So in other words, this guy does not want to bring his forces into the battle until he knows he's got a dragon backing him up. And these guys are called the Triarchy. So, sorry, no, that's a different note. My apologies. So then we cut to a council meeting where various things are being discussed. And of course, the prince is not too happy that he's been summoned. by these guys. This is where the alliance with the Triarchy is discussed to entreat them into an alliance to put pressure on the Sea Snake and their navy, and so on. Sir Tristram is ordered to march on Harrenhal. He tries to get out of it, which is kind of interesting, but Aemond's not having it. And then he decides to have a one-to-one meeting with his mother after ignoring her advice that she offers on the council meeting. And at this point, he boots her off the council and orders her to return to more domestic pursuits, which is just a brilliant line. So good, so demeaning.
That was my favorite scene.
Indeed,
it is a good scene. It's not my favorite of the episode, but it is a good. Yeah. There's lots to choose from on this episode. Lots of setup happening here. Then we cut to Dragonstone Conference. The Sea Snake is there. He's turned up early and he has put on the hand and become the hand of the Queen. This is a big thing. So Stefan Darklin steps forward and dons his Star Trek red vest and offers to be, and it is proposed to him that he may be, because of his tenuous blood connection, he may be able to become a dragon rider. Now, I've got in my notes, right, in brackets, this guy's goose is cooked. That's actually what I knew that was going to happen. That's what I wrote down when I was making notes for this scene. This guy's goose is cooked. He's not going to make the end of this episode. I love the line he has here. He says, "I am but a man. The dragons are gods." I thought that was great because we have to remember that the dragons are revered as gods in this world, and that's easy to forget sometimes. We just think of them as beasts and, like, you know, the Luftwaffe effectively. Then we cut to one of Daemon's dream sequences. It's a dream of a meeting with King Viserys. He can't escape the throne room. This is a flashback to a scene that I think probably happened, or it's a scene that he wishes had happened in the way that he's seeing it now. There's two of these in the episode, and I think the same is true of the other one. He snaps back into reality and finds that he's actually breaking into the conference hall at Harrenhal. Paranoia sets in. He accuses this lord of conspiring against him. He then complains of being poisoned to the witch, Alice, and she suspects that he is, in fact, avoiding things. There's a discussion about what it means to wear the crown, how heavy the crown, weighs upon the bearer, this kind of thing. And he's talking about Rhaenyra and how she never wanted the crown, but now she's pursuing it, and so on. There's discussion about the Rivermen and how to bring them on side, and she tells him, as an owl lands on her arm, a real one, not a CGI owl. I was very impressed with that. Wait 3 days and the winds will shift. And we find out what that means later. We cut to the ceremony for the new dragon rider. So Stefan will attempt to mount the beast. I wrote in my notes, I so have a feeling this is not going to end well for Stefan.
And it was tough to sit there and just watch.
So Stefan's goose is cooked. It's a shame because the thing I will say that's a shame is that this particular actor who plays Sir Stefan is a fantastic actor. Yeah. And I feel like I wish he'd had some more scenes before he was effectively.
Excuse me, Lance. Wasn't his father executed by Sir Criston Cole a couple episodes ago?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
His father was in charge of that keep that got destroyed. No. His father was in charge of the castle they took at the beginning of the episode, and he refused to bend the knee, so he was beheaded. But I feel it would have been nice. It would have been nice if this guy had, got to go into battle. It's a little bit of a shame that didn't happen. But people have to die in this show, and unfortunately, he was next in line, as was extra number 2, standing next to him. Good scene, really well done. I like the way
you slit his own throat while he was burning.
Yeah, that was Yeah, that was a nice detail, but it's the preferable death. Being burned alive is one of the most painful ways you can die. Anthony Flanagan is the actor who played Sir Stefan, and he is a great actor. So we cut to the sea snake preparing to depart. He recruits the man who saved him as his first mate. Is this an order or a request? A report on the morrow. So it is indeed an order. This guy so doesn't want to kind of be in his favor, but his younger brother, who's listening nearby, is all for it. We cut to an inn at King's Landing, which again reaffirms the fact that very little food is available apart from fish. People are complaining about feasts going on in the castle. And I knew as soon as this woman appeared in this inn that she was a plant, and she was planting rumors, and she was making sure that she was talking to this guy who is known to be the guy who spreads all the gossip that's established in an earlier episode. So it's all been set up, this storyline. People complaining about the lack of food, talk of piles of food going into the castle, and people yearning back to better times under King Viserys, who wouldn't, gorge on food if the little people didn't have any, which I thought was quite important. We then cut to Dragonstone. The Queen is being chewed out by one of her council military advisors. She gets pissed off and she slaps him with the line, "It's my fault that you seem to have forgotten to fear me." I thought that was quite a cool little moment. Kind of comes back. We then cut to a close-up of a sword. The Queen is trying out weapons. And then we have Lady Masseria. She's still my least favorite character in this at the moment. We'll talk more about her later.
She's still my top girl.
That's for different reasons, Leroy. We learn that she is responsible for spreading the rumors at King's Landing. So now that is really important. This woman is very, very manipulative, and she is trying to shape the destiny of kings or queens. And I'm going to come back to that later, but she's responsible for manipulating more than one thing in this timeline, and I'm beginning to think that there's a bigger hand here at work, and she may in fact be somebody else. In King's Landing, meat is being taken into the castle. There's a meeting with Prince Aemond and Clubfoot / Lord Larys. He thinks he's going to be named Hand of the King. In fact, he's been scheming for that to happen. I love this bit because the show always refuses to give the audience what is the obvious solution. I love that about this show. They don't let this guy become Hand of the King. He says, "Not you, you toad," which is a fantastic line. It's so true. Yeah, and says, "Send word for Otto Hightower." And I like that because Daemon knows he's the best strategic politician in the country. He knows this. So he sends from it. Yeah. Meanwhile, the king has regained consciousness. We cut to burnt skin being removed from his body. Aemond goes to see him. The king says he remembers nothing. We'll discuss this later. I personally think that's a lie. He does remember. He says that so that he offers no threat to Daemon.
Of course it's a lie.
And Daemon says it's a long road to recovery to the Maester. We then cut to Princess Rhaena. She's with one of the young boys. They're out for a walk. This is in a much different part of the country. A dragon has visited this area and has in fact eaten. We then cut to her with her baby dragon and one of the other kids. There's lots of like plastic dragon toys. Got a bit of a marketing potential plan here with figures. Quite like to own that one on the left.
Hasbro, take notes.
Yeah, indeed. And then they've received a letter from the prince in Pentos offering them basically a refuge there. So she's going to be traveling to Pentos. She just says, you lied to me. There is a large dragon in the Vale. And the Queen of the Vale says, yeah, it's rumored to be true. But this scene ends with them confirming that they're actually traveling to Pentos. Whether that actually does happen or not, we don't know. Yeah. Cut back to the two Sea brothers. The best mate, the first mate, is preparing for service, which involves shaving his head. The younger one is scheming because he wants to be getting into service and favor with the sea snake, and he's being ignored. We cut to Dragonstone. Prince Jace and Queen Rhaenyra are talking of what happened with her striking the advisor. There's discussion of strategy. He says we need Daemon, and she loses her shit and says, oh, this is all I hear, people talking about Daemon. Then Mysaria appears and informs her that the gift is sent. Look for clouds over the Blackwater later. We cut to the beaches by King's Landing. People are hunting for cockles on the beach. And then suddenly this boat arrives. When I first saw that, I thought it had a body on it, like a Viking sort of pyre thing. And then I did also wonder if actually the food was going to be poisoned. But this was a really quite clever strategy. We cut to this wide shot, and there's a whole load of these boats approaching the shore, and they're all filled with like fresh fruit and vegetables and meat and this kind of thing. Brilliant tactic. We cut to the Maester, talks of His Grace's recovery. The Queen goes to visit her son in his bed and apologizes to him. Little scene, but quite moving. The Queen finds her brother, sending her blessings, sends ravens to her father, but there's been no reply. She has this really great conversation with the brother, played by Freddie Fox, where they're talking of the life that might have been had he been brought to court. And then there's all this discussion about her teenage son, who I don't think we've actually met yet, who's been brought up at their hometown rather than in King's Landing. King's Landing. He's now 16 years old. This is definitely going to be an important plot point going forward, and that character, trust me, will be a main character in season 3. We might even meet him before the end of this season, but that's definitely important. That information has not been given to us by accident. I love this moment here where the son is described as being kind, and it's a lovely moment of humanity between these two characters. It's a brilliant scene. In fact, this is my favorite scene of this episode. Meanwhile, there's a stampede in King's Landing because people have learned that there's food on the beach. Everyone's like, what? The Queen is actually at the Septum. And as she's leaving, she's attacked because she's called the Queen of Fishes because she's not looking after the people. The food has come from Queen Rhaena. When trying to get back to her litter, some of her guards are killed. They're given conflicting orders. It's all a bit of a mess. I don't know if you've got a shot of it, Blue, but if you look at the High Septum building in this shot, you can see, there you go, it's of a different design to the one we see in King's Landing in Game of Thrones. So it means that in somewhere between the two timelines, it's been rebuilt. So this version of it will probably get destroyed at some point in House of the Dragon, and it will get rebuilt later.
Smack with a fish.
Yeah, that was a good scene. We then have the king with Clubfoot talking to the bedridden king, and Clubfoot is really seeding all this poison in his ear. And I put in my notes, he's exactly like Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings. Yeah, you can really see the different design in that shot there. Yeah, really. Yeah. Yeah, he's just like Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings. He's feeding he's trying to seed divide between the brothers because he thought he was going to be made hand of the king, and he wasn't. And now he realizes that Aemond absolutely despises him, calls him a toad, which is what he is. He sees right through him. So now he's trying to manipulate the king. Yeah. We then cut to Daemon dreaming again. It's a nice scene though with King Viserys. It's always great to see Paddy Constantine back in the show. He's crying over his dead wife. This is a scene that we didn't see when it actually happened. These are flashbacks to moments that I feel definitely happened, but I feel that the reality might have been that he wasn't actually there for him in these moments, and he's only being there for him in this reality. I think the actual reality of it was that he was not there for him. He wakes up to find that Lord Grover is dead. The young Oscar Tully is now Lord of the Riverlands. And then we now find that their own healer, aka Alice, the witchy-like lady, tended to the old man's medical needs, aka murdered him. So that sorted that problem out. And now the young prince is in charge. So that's all going to become relevant.
The winds are changing.
Plus, he's crying too. he starts breaking.
Well, he
down.
said it was.
Yeah.
She said it was going to be resolved in 3 days, didn't she? That was the setup for this scene. Very clever writing. So
plus, at this point, we've never seen Daemon cry. This is the first time I've actually watched him break down.
Yeah, it's
probably right.
It's quite an emotional moment. We cut back to the beach, and the younger brother is on the beach doing his thing, and then suddenly we see the dragon coming in. And as soon as I saw that, I put in brackets, "Oh, he's going to be the dragon rider of Sea Smoke." I put that in my notes. And it's like the dragon has actually come looking for him specifically, and it's already been set up in earlier episodes that Sea Smoke wants a rider. So that's been established. We cut to Dragonstone. Mysaria and the Queen are talking. They're discussing food strategy. Mysaria reveals her history of abuse to the Queen. Few in the world are steadfast. You have seen me as worthy. I put in my notes, ? Are these two about to become lovers? And then boom! Suddenly there's a big girl on girl smooch. So my question was answered pretty quickly. And they're unfortunately interrupted. Just as Leroy was getting excited, they were interrupted by the captain of the guard. By the way, in this moment of intimacy, I don't know if anybody noticed, but the music was really sinister. If you watch that scene again, no, you would. Yeah, I'm sure you were. But I was paying attention. The music in that scene, if it was like a moment of joy, it would be this like underscore of, this is all romantic, and now she's actually got some love. And if you listen to the music, it's not that at all. It suggests sinister plotting. This is a scheme. Watch it again.
Seduction.
Yeah, seduction, scheming stuff. The music suggests that her affections for the Queen are not sincere. That's what I've written. Guard enters. Sea Smoke has a rider. There's a shared look between the captain of the guard and Mysaria at that point. I think he saw something. So trust me, that captain of the guard is now on the red shirt Star Trek list. Queen immediately leaves with her dragon, goes to find out who's riding Sea Smoke. Cut to credits.
All right, Lance. There might be an angle here you're missing. Maybe not.
Tell me.
Sea Smoke's previous rider was the man who faked his death in season 1.
Rhaenyra's husband, yeah.
So
right.
Sea Smoke is looking for a new rider. He goes after that guy because that guy is I guess a half brother.
Yeah.
That's what's going on there.
Right. And, yeah. Because there's that whole kind of family bloodline,
and the reason why Rhaenyra, why Rhaenyra flies off at the end, because she suspects that guy has come back. That's my theory.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Oh, out of hiding?
Well, yeah, that's so it may be that kid on the beach, or it may be somebody else. We'll see. Well, let's go through this in the usual section. So we're going to cover this first.
You might be half the king your father was.
Tread carefully.
Or what?
So when it comes to story, script, world building, this episode is, in my opinion, a gold standard example of how to do that.
Masterful.
It builds on everything that's happened so far this season. There's already a whole load of setup of stuff going on. There's set up some payoff within this individual episode as well. With Mysaria saying, give it 3 days. Next thing you know, that guy's dead in 3 days' time. Stuff like that. We're setting up the potential tensions. Like the Lannisters never like to be first in battle. They'll ride with other people, but they'll let them do the fighting first. That also happened in Game of Thrones. So there's a lot of interesting things going on here. Loads of great stuff with we'll talk about characters and cast next, but so thoughts on the story. Douglas, you're the new kid on the block on the channel tonight, so I'm going to let you go first. Just your thoughts on those areas, please, and especially as you're a writer.
I agree with you. I think it's masterful. There's a wide range of quality in streaming and on television, and you switch from one show, let's say like The Acolyte, and you're puzzled and confused and disappointed, and then you turn on House of the Dragon, and all of that goes out the window. You're locked into the story. The dialogue comes across perfectly. I can't help but like stare off into the background of each scene and each set and admire it. The cinematography, the use of lighting and shadows, all of that, the costume designs, and that opening shot with you said the guy, the red clad Lannisters on horseback coming in. Yeah. All of that is convincing to me when I see it, and I think that in and of itself does a ton of world building, and I can't help but get sucked into it. So I think the script is phenomenal, and I think the world building is great. There was one scene where the rioters start, and the Queen Alicent is like stuck out on the streets, and she begins to sense the danger, and she makes a run for it, and you see all of these people in the background rioting, running through the streets, and there is a sense of real danger. And I was like, those are all real extras. None of that is CGI. You've got 50 extras in the background, all donning costumes, rushing through the streets, and it just creates a sense of dangerous energy, mob violence, and panic in the scene itself. And all of it comes across perfectly.
Yeah, it was really, really, really well done. I thought that whole sequence. This is a still from that particular. I actually thought that in that scene, that the sort of the Mad Queen, as it were, the one who's got all the future vision, I thought she was dead. I thought she was done for. She was going to go because she got 1 minute point. She got separated. I feel like there was probably an edit of that whole sequence that was a bit longer. Because it did seem to kind of jump a little bit, but nevertheless, a very, very good scene, and a good way of illustrating that this show does incredible things, and all the money's on the screen.
Oh yeah,
all the money is on the screen, and I don't think this season had $180 million budget. It's up there, but I don't think it had as much as that.
Well, but if you're spending that kind of money, this is what you want to see. You want every inch of that square of storytelling to be layered with world building and reality and authenticity, and this show pulls that off.
John Malama said the bitch slap was epic.
Bitch slap was epic, and Drugel Alicent is so hot, so she's good.
Yeah, remember Lance? They were saying the budget in this was $100 million. For season 2.
Yeah, so $100 million for 8 45-minute episodes. So what's that roughly?
Actually, this one's like an hour. This one's like an hour and some change.
45 minutes to an hour. Is that about 15 mil an episode?
For 8 episodes?
So 15 mil an episode, 100 million. 8 times 88. No.
About 12.5 million.
Yeah, 12.5 million. 12.5 million an episode.
That's amazing.
I mean, they've made that money go far.
Yeah, like this is an hour and 8 minutes. Even take away credits, it's still a good hour.
And maybe because they didn't go to the Canary Islands to shoot like 2 scenes. I don't know.
Well, and it's hard not to compare those 2 shows since they're both hyped up and airing at the same time. And it's not really a comparison. What's that?
Yeah.
No blasphemy against the Acolyte.
Leroy's a big Acolyte fan.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Well, I like it better than Andor.
We're not going to debate that tonight.
Okay. So, I'm just saying in my head, when I
let them fight,
not to compare the 2.
Let them fight. I love the fact they used a real owl in this scene as well. It's great.
I thought that was pretty cool too.
So I've been to one of those places where you can pay and you can put the glove on and they'll come and they'll like land on your hand and shit, and they've got people that train them to do that. So yeah, why not? That set was a bit fake.
I knew a guy who was running for. I met a politician who actually raised falcons, and that was one of the coolest things I ever saw in real life.
It's good to know. It's good to know that Joe's going to have more time to do that now. So, you know. Anyway, let's move on. Leroy, what did you think about the story and script in this episode?
I'm going to be honest with you, and what I'm about to say is going to shock a whole lot of you guys. It wasn't a bad episode, but I felt that this episode was the weakest out of the entire show.
Wow. Well, most people thought last week's was the
I felt this was definitely the weakest. It wasn't a bad episode. I'm not saying it was a bad episode because it wasn't, but I felt it was the weakest. I really felt that, and nothing against Paddy Considine or the character of King Viserys, but I thought the continued nightmare that Daemon is having is definitely a waste of time and stuff like that. And
I feel like there's going to be a payoff for that, but I do agree that we did talk about that last week, and I think we all agreed. I
think it's time that Daemon needs.
We kind of had seen enough.
It's not a good look.
Daemon.
And
Daemon being miserable is getting a bit boring. We want to see him be.
What I'm about to say next is going to be a little bit controversial because I have friends who are members of the LGBTQ community, but I just found this out today. That kissing scene between Rhaenyra and Lady Mysera, that's not in the book. I just found that out today. So I understand HBO is trying to be realistic and stuff like that, but in this case, I honestly feel that there's probably an agenda, an LGBTQ agenda, because I don't think that was really necessary. In fact, a lot of these shows, not just House of the Dragon, but a lot of these shows, especially historical shows where that stuff was a common occurrence, I don't think it's really necessary to show it on national TV. That's just my opinion. Do I think there's agenda? Not entirely, but after finding out this morning that there is that in the actual book there is no relationship between Rhaenyra and Lady Mysera.
Okay.
First thing that entered my mind was that there's
it didn't seem set up.
Yeah, that there's an agenda to appease the
You sure you're not just upset because someone's kissing your love interest?
Nah. It would be nice if it was me kissing her, but no, I'm not upset. I'm just saying. I mean, we know a lot of this stuff happened. We just don't need it shoved down our throat. That's the best way I can say it. I know it's very controversial and unpopular in this day and age for someone to say that, but it needs to be said. Now, on the positive, go ahead.
I didn't have a massive issue with it. I agree that because we've had quite a few scenes with them, and in none of those scenes has there been tension or sexual chemistry.
Right.
I have a feeling that again, I suggest people rewatch it and listen to the score for this scene.
Exactly right.
To me, it said subterfuge. I think she's actually bewitching her somehow, and so I think this is part of evil doings, because I don't think there's any problem with her having a romantic interest, because of course Alicent has got
Kristen Cole. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
The Kristen United Colours of Benetton model Cole,
and Lance,
he hasn't got anyone.
And Lance, I'm not saying there was anything wrong with that scene, because there wasn't. It's just that we're seeing too much of it, not on this show, but on a lot of shows. It's like the only show where you didn't see anything that has to do with the LGBTQ community or whatever scene there is was Shogun, and even then Shogun didn't have a lot of sexual scenes from straight or LGBTQ. So, I mean, I'm just saying it should be tempered down a bit.
Don't forget, Game of Thrones has always been a very, very adult show when it comes to sex and violence. And we've had plenty of gay stuff in Game of Thrones
and incest. I mean, I don't know what. Again, that's worse than. I'd rather see these two women kissing than see another incest angle.
Right. Well, anyway, okay. Let me move on. Blue, your thoughts on.
Well, hold
your
on.
Thoughts. Your sand timer's up, Leroy. I'll come back to you in a minute.
I was about to say the positive things on this episode.
You can talk about them in a minute. Blue, what's your overall thoughts on the story for this episode?
last week was my least favorite episode. This one was better. And to piggyback what Leroy said, my cousin, like Plato, she loves the books and she reads them. We're watching this last night. When the kiss came up, my cousin yelled at the screen. It's nothing to do with, as you said, Lance, watch Game of Thrones, watch House of Dragon. We see plenty of gay and lesbian scenes all over the show. But that was vastly different than the book. And she's like, Chris, what I loved about House of the Dragon so far is, unlike Game of Thrones, later on, as Game of Thrones starts steering away from the books, House of Dragon's been so authentic, and that's nothing to do with the book. Why are you adding it for? That's what she get pissed off for, because she's been praising this show for being so book accurate. That had nothing to do with the book. She's like, no, that's BS. And I don't care about it's two women. It doesn't make sense in terms of the plot. Like you guys said with Daemon, it feels like the scenes with Daemon with younger Rhaenyra and the scenes with Paddy Constantine and Viserys, that could have been condensed into one episode. I do admit that Daemon, he's making progress, but his progress should be one episode. We are going into episode 7, and Daemon is still at Harrenhal. That's getting annoying.
Agreed.
Agreed. There is yeah, I mean, there is some good scenes, like you said, Aegon. I think Aegon is lying because he's terrified his brother's going to kill him. I do like the fact that we're seeing more with the dragons, like they're taking the step with the dragons. They have to get more riders. There is some progress getting made, but it's better than last episode. I just feel like I still expect more, but I did like this one a lot, and it's a good storyline. I do think that it's not as good as it could be, but I did enjoy it though. I feel like season 1, I loved every episode in season 1. This season's had a couple episodes it feels like, Lance, at an hour and 8 minutes. Man, they could have shaved a good. Again, I think they could have shaved a good 10 minutes off.
Well, I wasn't bored at all, but I'm just reading some information here, just about the kiss, and I'll just read you a factual statement. This kiss was a surprise to the readers of George R.R. Martin's book, Fire and Blood, which doesn't mention a romance between Rhaenyra and Mysaria. In fact, at this point in the book, Mysaria is still based in King's Landing and hasn't even met Rhaenyra in person yet. The show brought the characters together earlier. Speaking to TV Insider, Mizuno, that's the actress who plays Mysaria, revealed that a romance was always a possibility, although it doesn't sound like it was a sure thing. After I got the job, the showrunners said there was this potentiality. They said the plan was definitely for Mysaria and Rhaenyra to start working together with a potential for romance. So I knew before we started season 1. I mean, that's interesting that she says that, because I would have underplayed that. If I was that actor and I had been told that way in advance, I would have definitely brought something to the table with my performance, and I would have injected a bit of sexual tension between them. I pointed this out 2 episodes ago, that I said that Mizuno's scenes for me were the weakest in the show, and they weren't offering us anything extra. Now that this has happened, there's a different dimension to it, but if the music is anything to go by, and music is character in a film, if it's anything to go by, it's telling us that there's something wrong with this scene, in the sense that subterfuge is going on. I mean, we'll find out. But
yeah, my only issue is it just wasn't set up. There was no lead up to this. There was no sense of, there's something here. It was all of the sudden, it was like, wait, are these two into each other? Like, it just happened out of nowhere.
I mean, the actual scene itself was nice, was well done. But you're right. If there should have been more setup, there should have been I think, just a really subtle hint of attraction between them earlier, and I would have bought into it.
Well, they should put me in the story.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, Leroy.
Lord Leroy, the spy.
I've just found out why Northern Bastard has not joined us this evening. Just newsflash just come in. So Darth Blue, did you want to say anything else about the story and plot, or jump onto Darth Plato?
I can pull up the scene for listening right now. For a good minute, there's actually no new music. Lance, it's just pure, just fire crackling. I'm trying to pull up the scene and hear get the music for you.
You're talking about the smooch scene?
Yeah, because you're establishing the difference in music tones right now. The lead up to that, there's no music.
The music comes on when they're kissing, I believe.
Oh, when they kiss. Okay.
All right, give me a minute.
Yeah.
I'm good for now.
hang on. So, well, did you say you got it, or you want to play it?
Yeah, if you want. Let's see. Yeah, because there's actually
you find that while Darth, tell us what your thoughts on the story and script.
Well, just to comment on what you were already talking about. You remember, she was prepared to leave the island. The only reason why she didn't, Mysaria, I mean, she was going to leave the island because she saw the twin. So I don't think there's some master plan here at work necessarily. If there is, that would be a surprise to me. I think what Mysaria's issue is that she's attracted to power, and this is because remember in season 1 she was attached to Daemon. She didn't really seem to do anything except she just liked being around strong people, and she wants to ply her trade. So I don't know what motivation is there beyond that. Beyond that, I'm going to
maybe she likes steadfast people, but preferably steadfast people with softer girly lips. And now she's got two. Now she's got 2 for 2.
Right. So then I comment on the Aemond scene. Remember, in the Aemond scene in the council chamber, he's not wearing his sword. But when he goes to visit Aemond in the hospice room, he is wearing his sword.
That's interesting.
I didn't notice that. I didn't see that again. I missed that.
Why would he carry his sword into that room?
Bad intent.
I think perhaps to intimidate his brother.
Yeah.
Oh, intimidation. Yeah.
That's a good point. You can pick up that you can see the hilt of the sword here in this still. It's right there. And it also, of course, because he presses on the wound and causes him some pain in that scene. It's all really horrible and menacing. And
that was a D move.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty evil. To say the least. Darth, anything else to say about the
you already touched down the whole Daemon thing. We're 4 episodes into the dream thing. I'm not going to touch down on that anymore. You guys have already talked about that. I will say that he looks like when he came out, he looks like he's losing his mind. He looks like I said last week, he looks like Jack Nicholson in the Shining.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm losing. Like, there's something wrong with me. It's something that poisoned me. I'm being bewitched. And then he goes outside and talks to Alice Rivers. And it's like he doesn't make the connection. Wait, maybe you're behind this. He somehow doesn't make this connection. And she stands there and does the arm thing, and the owl comes to her arm. And she's basically doing her Florence Nightingale thing. And what Daemon should have said was like, well, that's a neat trick. Can you do that with anything else, any other animal?
Yeah, I mean, she might as well have a little frog sitting on her shoulder, really, and a pointy hat.
Yeah, it's just like, so it's just seriously, at one point is he kind of, I mean, is she just dense or something? Or he's just like, wait, and then she goes and kills this guy, or at least it's strongly implied that she kills Lord Grover Tully. But at one point is she going to make the connection? You're the one doing this.
I do wonder if Alice the Witch and Mysaria are somehow connected and colluding and manipulating as part of some kind of Coven subplot, or they may be connected to a third power. I wouldn't be surprised if that comes out maybe next season.
The power of 2.
Those 2 could be connected.
Yeah, well, that scene's up before already. So like you said, they start playing music when they start kissing.
Hey. Now, calm your excitement, gentlemen, please. Let's keep it professional.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, but you're right.
If you listen to that music is not kind of everything's lovely. It's more like evil shit is happening.
True. Yeah.
You play a bit more.
No 70s disco vibes.
No.
It's also possible that the showrunners are trying to make a connection between.
But to me, it's like
something
bewitching. It's like bewitching evil soundtrack.
Yeah.
That's what it is to me. It's not. This is the greatest love story never told.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's like people say, just it feels very forced because these 2 characters, there's nothing that indicates they're attracted to each other or they want to be with each other. She's just using her for power, and she needs a friend while Daemon's being Daemon. it just feels very. It's not organic at all.
I want to say something. This scene.
Jamalama thinks
Oh,
the
go
kiss
ahead.
is natural. I've had this happen when a hug turned into a kiss without any previous designs. Yeah.
This
Is that what the
scene
police said?
reminds me of a movie I saw called The Affair. Oh, it's supposed to be based on a true story, and basically it was a World War II movie. A black GI and a married white woman, had become friends, and she found out that her husband was cheating on her, and she just started breaking down crying. She didn't seek him out or anything like that, but as they were hugging, he was trying to comfort her, and then slowly, just like this, they started kissing. And like that, and looking back on that scene kind of reminded me of that. It's like, are they trying to copycat some sort of?
My take is,
what year did that movie come out?
The Affair.
Remember?
I think it came out in the mid-90s. Stars Courtney B. Vance, Angela Bassett's husband. It was on HBO.
Yeah.
It was a good movie.
Yeah. I think I did it end up with some kind of court martial?
A hanging. He was hanged in the end because when her husband came back, her husband forced her to falsely accuse him of rape, and he got hanged for it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I think it wasn't based on a true story.
It was. I think Harry Belafonte directed it.
I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure I rented that movie from the yes, I did. I've just found it. I rented it from the video store. It's actually really good film.
If you look at that scene and the scene when it's very similar.
Yeah, I remember the scene. You're exactly right. It's really similar, really similarly directed. So yeah, good movie. Thank you. So Darth, anything else about plot or story?
Yeah, I'll just add about the dragon summoning scene. As epic as that scene was, I have on good authority that the dragon summoners are now officially on strike and demanding a raise.
Yeah, should.
After that, I demand a raise too.
Okay, let's move on to the next bit. We're going to cover this now.
You're afraid, sir? Worse, I'm rational.
All right, let's talk about the characters and cast, and of course, this episode is called the Smallfolk, and the Smallfolk get a fair bit of screen time, not probably about 1/3, maybe a quarter of the episode, which I think is good. But let's go through everybody in turn. So of course we have Matt Smith once again, still doing his kind of journey of madness. I mean, he's consistently good. I will say I do prefer him when he's in control, but I don't think that's the journey with him that we're going to get. And I guess if that serves the story, that's fine. But yeah, he's fabulous in everything. With his character, I think he's going to go completely mad before the end of this season. There's 2 episodes left. That could happen. Like with where he's at now, that could definitely happen. And it's been said, isn't it, that he's going to die at Harrenhal, and he still hasn't managed to leave it yet. So that's interesting that he's not managed to leave it since that prediction happened.
Well, just because she said it doesn't make it true.
No, but it's interesting that he finds himself stuck there,
wallowing.
Yeah, swallowing. Let's go through the scenes, Blue. So we do get introduced to some new characters here. We have there we go. We have Sir Tyland, Lord Toxic's double, Sir Tyland's brother. Sorry. Do we know the full name of this character? Isn't it
Jason Lannister?
Right. So actually,
Lord Jason Lannister.
Yeah, it is Jason Lannister. Funnily enough, the same actor, according to IMDb.
Isn't he Jefferson Hall?
Yes.
The same actor is playing both roles. Unless I've got this wrong. So, because it says, I mean, I'm pretty sure that these are two different characters, right?
I think it's the same person. If it's Jefferson Hall, it's the same person.
No. It's Jefferson Hall playing both brothers. So if you look on the credits, you'll see he's credited with two characters, Lord Jason Lannister and Sir Tywin Lannister. Sir Tywin is the one who sits on the council. The brother is the one who's out at war.
So you remember in season 1, Jason was proposing to Rhaenyra.
Right.
Well, yes, actually, he was telling Viserys that he wants to marry Rhaenyra, and Viserys put him in his place.
So
that was one of my favorite scenes in all first season.
So so this actor is basically playing both of those characters.
Yeah,
and that's interesting because he does look different in that sequence. He does look different from the guy on the council. So they've done a good job.
Throws you off.
Because right there, it's still 20, and then let's see, that's back to still. So look at him right there, and look at him right here.
Yeah. They've really made him look different, actually.
So these are the ancestors of Jaime, Cersei, and the midget.
Eventually, yeah.
So that's a good way of saving money, isn't it? You don't have to get another actor in.
Or just a really good sales pitch during the audition. I'll tell you what, I'll do both.
You're going to get to play two parts.
And that can't be easy. That cannot be easy at all.
No.
And he has to ride a horse. So this scene is, again, we get a lot more dynamics going on here.
Lance, if I may say, this, as far as the good things about this episode, this is probably one of the best scenes right here. Again, I'm a little biased because Aemond putting his mom in her place and giving her the boot. Personally, the joy I felt from that.
We know how much you love seeing manipulative women getting destroyed, Leroy, and that's all good. Sonda Days, welcome to the Outcast Creative. The same actor was also in the first season of Game of Thrones. That is interesting. Thank you for letting us know. So yeah, I do like this scene. This seems really good. Again, I think he's proving his prowess as leader, and Alicent's basically got no power left now, really. It is interesting that he sends for Otto, though.
I don't know why he did that, because he hates Otto just as much as his brother does.
Unless he wants to bring him in.
Douglas, what's your view on that?
On summoning Otto Hightower?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was an odd play. It kind of came out of nowhere dialogue-wise. The whole scene seemed to be moving in this one direction, and then it landed with that. And I was like, "Oh, Otto, he's coming back into the scene." So I was a little thrown off by it. So I'm not really sure where I think that's gonna go.
I think it's because he knows this guy is completely untrustworthy. He sussed this guy. And I like that. I like that because a less talented writer's room would have gone for the obvious choices. Whenever you think this show is going to give you that obvious outcome, even the little outcomes, I really thought this guy was going to be Hand, because that's what's being set up. It's been set up that he's manipulating things to become Hand, and then when he turns around and says that, that dialogue is all set up like he's going to say his Hand, and then it's like, no, not you, you sniveling little toad.
Well, and for the writer to land on the word toad, right? That's a perfect word. The camera's on his expression in response, which is nothing, and it's like, you're a toad now. Like, he just found the perfect word to like box you in and push you off. So,
you know where they got that word from? They got that from Spartacus. Glaber's wife. That's how she referred to Asher as the Syrian toad.
Oh, really? Yeah, I remember that. Actually, you're right about that. You're right about that.
Well, it shows, like, I think you just said, a good writer's room the difference between where they go. You have to land the dialogue. It's easy to have a character quip like, "Get out of here, you loser," or whatever. You can write dialogue that does the same thing and just doesn't have the same effect. But to dial it in so well and to capture him so well and concisely, just delivered what I felt like a knockout blow in dialogue with very little, the actors aren't animated. They're both like almost perfectly still. And it's like a smart missile that just nails its target,
Yeah.
Well, Lance,
he's really good, this guy.
Because I pulled the scene right here. His exact words are to the Lannister, or that Lannister, whatever, the cripple here. He says, "My grandsire may be overcautious, but his devotion to his family has never been in doubt. That's why he's summoning him for, because he knows that Otto is loyal to his family, unlike this guy. This guy's Laurie's only it for himself." And we said before, and plus Otto, I mean, love or hate the guy, he may seem like he's being manipulative, but for Viserys, remember, he's been the hand of the king to 3 different kings now, and the guy's got experience. And Aemond has been sitting in the back. Aemond, the entire time, Aemond's watching. He sees what his grandfather was doing. He knows how good he is.
Yeah,
I think
I have to say. Go ahead.
Go. No, sorry. Go on, Douglas.
Oh, all I was going to say is Otto Hightower has a very commanding presence as an advisor, right? So he's a great character. What I wanted to say too is Aemond has really grown on me. In season 1, the second half of season 1, where they have this actor, I thought he seemed a little two-dimensional. He was the blonde-haired guy with the eye patch, and he just didn't seem to do that much, I felt, last season. So I wasn't really big on him. But in this season, I think his character is really coming alive, and he's becoming cunning. He's becoming commanding, and for whatever reason, my wife hates him, but I'm starting to like him. I'm starting to like Aemond.
Yeah. Especially
he's played by, I think the actor's called Evan Mitchell, I believe.
And he's played by the actor. Go ahead.
No, I like Aemond because this says a lot about me because I hate villains. When it comes to good guy versus bad guy, I'm always rooting for the good guy. Aemond and Aegon are probably the first villains I actually like because how they treat their mother. And it's not, I'm not encouraging people to disrespect their moms or anything like that, but when you got a manipulative woman who basically has controlled your life, your entire life, and when you finally grow a pair and put her in her place, that's what I love about Aemond and Aegon. They put their manipulative mother in her place. And when Aegon and this, what the hell?
Well,
oh my God.
Anyway, pictures on IMDb.
Anyway, so when Aegon finally dismisses his mother, that's the end of the manipulative, end of her power, and I'm sorry, manipulative women have no place in power whatsoever, and that's why I like Daemon and Aegon.
You'll find him there.
Aegon because he went into battle drunk. Aemon is cunning, he's smart, and like I said, he and his brother probably the first. Like season 1, I hated them.
Yeah,
but after they dismissed their mother, basically, I'm like, I wish. There are times I wish I had balls like that.
Going back to the reason he hires Otto, I think the main reason he's bringing him in, and we'll see if it's true. And he may, there is also that adage of keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
True.
Is the person he's lacking on the council at the moment is somebody who understands the politics of the realm. And Clubfoot is not a guy who socializes with other lords and understands how they think and how they work and stuff like that. Otto is someone who moves in the political circles in Westeros. He understands that world. That's very evident when you see his actions and his advice in season 1 and at the beginning of season 2. And that's what's lacking on the council right now, because at the minute it's all about building alliances and coming out with the stronger armies.
But Lance, there's a flip side to that, though. Otto, like Aemond said, is overly cautious, and that he's annoying. That could be his downfall. All it takes is
yeah, but if the two of them together will probably be like, fire and ice. They'll be a good combination, I think. But anyway, we'll see. But that's why I think he wants him back. Yeah.
If you recall, in the first episode of the season, Larys tried to get Otto fired.
Yeah.
So there's a connection there between those two characters. That's probably we're gonna see the payoff of that later in the last two episodes.
That's a good point. That's a payoff that's set up quite some time ago. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And concerning Larys, this is just how I look at it. He looks like a composite character between, on the one hand, Talleyrand and Fouché, and as you already mentioned, Wormtongue.
Wormtongue. It's got Wormtongue's hair, actually. Funnily enough,
but he has but he has Talleyrand's clubfoot.
Well, indeed. But and also Wormtongue's pasty complexion.
That is a lie.
And Fouché's mind for deviousness. Fouché was the head of the secret police for Napoleon.
Yeah. Blue, anything you want to say about the actors and characters in this episode? Poor Sir Tristan is, gradually being maligned to sort of, he's now almost like before he was offering up strategy. Now he's just having to take orders, isn't it?
No, I like about Aemond. As soon as Aemond sits down, he was aggravated because he's the king. Well, king, but regent, not a puppy to be summoned, but he's taking charge. He's like, you go to Harrenhal. Okay, right now we'll take care of the Riverlands. Hey, my mother, she's off the table. Also, my uncle, and he's like, what about Daemon being there? If Daemon's there when the time is right, I'll go challenge him. I'm not afraid of him. Aemond is doing what Aegon didn't do. Aegon was being pushed around and kind of bossed around. Aemond's taking charge. He's being a king. And he's just hitting. That's why he's also making tactics. He's making, instead of Kristen, where Kristen was only a hand because you're sleeping with Alicent, Aemond's getting Otto back because he knows Otto's an actual good hand to the king. Aemond, his tactician right now, his brains is phenomenal, and that's why I'm respecting. Yeah, he's not just sitting there waiting. He's doing things. Also, right now, this is where Rhaenyra is having a problem. Aemond and their entire Green faction right now, they're making moves and getting stronger. Alicent's just sitting around. And not Alicent, Rhaenyra. Also Daemon just sitting around. These guys they're winning. They're winning wars. They're moving battle pieces. And the only thing so far Rhaenyra's done is got one extra dragon rider. That's it. The Greens are actually winning right now. They're in terms of like their strategies, their battle tactics, and all because in Aemond, and you could even say that possibly on purpose, he took care of Aegon because Aegon was slowing him down. Now that Aemon's in charge, look how much progress they're making already.
Yeah, I agree.
Douglas, your thoughts on the characters and indeed the acting for this episode?
Positive. I will say on the Matt Smith line of thought there, one of the show's great strengths was Matt Smith. He was instantly iconic, in my opinion. His look, his presence, his acting. I thought in season 1 he was just phenomenal. So in my opinion, right? I mean, he lifted that show up. Him and Viserys, Patty, those two had such a great presence in that. And now it's like I feel like they're just misusing him to have him with this bad look. Like in this episode in particular, he's like on the ground. He's like almost groveling at the door. And then the door opens and this clearly inferior like lord is standing there. And I'm like, man, do we really want to see Daemon like this? I was like, let's bring him back where he's chewing up the screen with his cunning and his like malevolence, 30-yard stare and everything. Like, let's get some of that going. I will say also that Alicent, even though this might be one of her later episodes where this is no longer true, I feel like she's very iconic looking now as well. She just, when she pops up in a scene, it's like you're in the House of Dragon. Like you're in this show. She's got a lot of presence. Whether that lasts, we'll have to see.
Yeah, actually, Olivia Cook was was voted by us overwhelmingly last week as the standout actress of the episode. I think it was last week's episode. It might have been the one before, but I think it was last week's. we do get a bit more with some other characters. I mean, we have this queen, of course. Clearly, the actress can work with owls written on her CV. She's played by Gail Rankin. I quite like her performance. I want to see her. I mean, it's difficult to judge when someone's just saying lots of witchy, mysterious things, which is pretty much all she gets to do. But solid performance, though. I find her convincing. She's consistent, and as you can see, she can handle owls. Does anyone else want to say anything about her quickly before we skip forward?
She's kind of cute, sexy.
Yeah, Leroy, I meant about her acting ability or character, but yes, okay.
I think it would be interesting to compare a character to Melisandre at this point out, because she's basically assuming that role now for Daemon as Melly did for Stannis.
She seems a little bit more mysterious, though, a little more elusive.
I keep saying that I feel like Melisandre is going to turn out to be someone in this show, because she's supposed to have lived for a very, very long time.
True.
And I do wonder if the White Worm is going to turn out to be her. That I've heard that as a possibility before.
No, different kind of magic.
Yeah, it could also be this woman, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Or that there's somehow a connection. But
she's right about one thing: the crown is not a prize to be won; it's a burden to bear.
It's a burden, yeah.
If you look throughout history, some of the greatest leaders were those who did not seek out leadership, those who did not want power, but they were put in power, and they turned out to be the greatest leaders of the world.
Yeah. Okay, if that's true, then what does she want?
Yeah,
we don't know.
Indeed,
we don't know.
Indeed,
that's not like she's elusive. There's something about. I love that line. I think it was either last episode or the episode before, where she's like, "I'm a barn owl, cursed to be a human." I was like, "That's awesome!" Like that was such a cool twist, because you don't know if it's true or not. So is she a reliable? Is she explaining herself reliably, or is there something more there?
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of online conversations about Alice Rivers has been focused around: is this a real character? Is Daemon imagining all this? Is this a ghost, like a ghost in Harrenhal? Well, at this point, I think she is a real person. So the Casper the Ghost theory is out. She's a real person.
But unless I've got this wrong, I'm right in thinking, if we go into the Sixth Sense mode for a moment, they've never had a scene where she is conversing to anyone else, or anyone else has ever acknowledged her presence.
Yes, they did last episode.
Who did?
When Daemon and Rivers were talking,
yes,
while he was holding the axe, that scene when he was holding the axe, and Simon comes in. When Simon walks by, he looks right at Alice Rivers.
Yeah.
So he's acknowledging her of sorts.
Does he say anything to her, or she anything to him?
But it's
I'm
still
not
implied.
sure about that.
Well, he could be looking at a barn owl.
He could be, he could be.
And also,
seeing right through her.
And he does. Well, then what's he looking at then? Yeah. And also in this episode, he specifically mentions Alice Rivers.
Yes, he does.
Remember, he says
he's looking at some tapestries. He's looking at some tapestries on the wall of the castle. This is a castle. Castles have tapestries, do they not?
Yeah,
Indiana
but
Jones
he does.
And Alice Rivers is just there to inspect them.
But he does tell Daemon that Alice is the reason that Lord Tully's dead for her.
There's going to be a major tapestry plot later. That's right. We know, because actually, to be fair, he actually refers to her, doesn't he? He says, "Our Lady Alice" or something like that went to tend to his needs.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if the person he's referring to is slightly different to the person we see that Daemon sees. Anyway, maybe that's
mind blown.
That's too complicated, but we'll leave that level of complexity to shows like The Acolyte. So this character,
I'm going to dog paddle across the Atlantic Ocean to your house, Lance.
Good luck with that. It's a big ocean, man. So you better wear some floats on those arms. This actor,
Don't vote
who
against
is-
Leroy.
Yeah. I forgot to check the results of our vote last week before I finished the stream. So I'm gonna do another.
Yeah,
one.
you've done that more than once, by the way.
What was the
thanks,
poll?
man. It was wasn't it favorite character or favorite actor of the episode? I think it was favorite actor of the episode. And you can only have 4 choices, and I think Alison's Olivia Cook was in the lead.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. I think
she's my least favorite character.
She was my least favorite, or not least favorite, but she was low on the totem pole. But she's grown on me, and she when she's on screen, she's popping now for me.
Oh, I mean, she's a phenomenal actress. Very, very.
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't know she was the girl from Ready Player One.
Yeah,
I was watching Ready Player One, and I was like, "Is that Queen Alicent?" She's like a young teenager in that movie.
I mean, that we forget that film was quite a while ago now, but
yeah,
the other lead actors in this show, Steve Toussaint, Olivia Cook, Matt Smith, these are all proper caliber people.
This scene was pretty good. I like this scene.
Yeah, this was
hilarious and trying to motivate and comfort Aegon. I mean,
yeah, and you know that you know that actor probably spent 6 hours in makeup, having to arrive at 4 o'clock in the morning on set and breathe through his nostrils through straws and this kind of thing, keep his head perfectly still while all of that stuff was applied.
And it's funny. They say he sleeps. I'm talking about the character. They say he's forced to sleep 9 out of 10 hours a day.
Yeah, and
I'm like, I don't want to be in this position because when does he have to take a shit?
Got big fans.
This kid, Tom Glyn Carney, plays the king, and I've seen him do a couple of interviews with other podcasters, so I'm going to try and get him to come on.
Oh wow!
Seems like a really lovely guy. He's only got 17 acting credits to his name. 8 of those credits are this show. 4 of them are for a TV show that's now available on BBC iPlayer called The Jetty, which I haven't watched yet, but I'm going to watch it. And then he's done a few little bits. He had a decent little part in SAS, Rogue Heroes. But after this show, he's going to be up there. He's going to be up there with Richard Madden and the other Game of Thrones breakout stars. This kid won't stop working after doing this.
Well, and
him and the guy who plays Aemond, I think sky's the limit for those guys.
Yeah. And did you ever listen to the interviews after each show?
Yeah.
Those 2 actors have great comments about their characters.
Yeah.
And you can tell that. I think another thing that really shines about the performances in this show is that not only have the actors got great IP material to work with, but as you say, they've clearly done their work. They've probably, each character probably is, or actors probably got what I call a character beat sheet, like go through the script, go through the book, mine it for every piece of information I can get about this character so I can layer it into a performance. Any professional actor worth their salt will definitely do that, and that's something that you can see that these actors have done, because there are layers to these performances. There's lots of stuff going on beneath the surface. It's a wonder it's just really enjoyable watching these scenes. I find the dialogue, the back and forth, there's so much there, and then when you watch them again, I think everyone on the panel will agree, you spot things you missed the first time. And it is, I mean, we're going to talk about the production design in a minute, so I won't jump on that again, but as Douglas said earlier, there's so much stuff to look at in the background as well,
Definitely, Lance. That was what I loved about the early Marvel films, is that you would see Benedict Cumberbatch going to a comic book store and people had pictures. He'd get stacks of Doctor Strange comics. You look at Robert Downey, that man is Tony Stark. Simple as that,
Yeah.
And there was a time, at least in early MCU, they were having these actors read comics and understand the character. Actors would read books to understand the character.
Yeah. as opposed to saying I don't need to watch any episodes of Doctor Who or whatever.
Almost as if that's an advantage in some way, oddly.
I mean, I get it that people don't want to predisposition their performances, but you know, when there's a wealth of source material about the background of the person you're going to be playing, that source material isn't telling you as an actor how to play that person. No. It's just giving you a groundswell of information to enlighten your choices, so that your choices are based on a reality of this character. And I don't think any actor
Lord of the Rings. Andy Serkis in Lord of the Rings, he knew Gollum, and he actually changed the character, for the performance in the film. And I thought he did an excellent job. So you can actually read all the source material and really gather it up and really soak it in, and still modify and change things.
Yeah, still bring your own. I mean, you can absolutely still bring your own thing to this. And I think we've seen 3 performances of Gollum in all, if you count the Ralph Bakshi Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movie. And they're not, they're very different, just as the John Hurt Aragorn is very different from Viggo Mortensen Aragorn, but they're both good Aragorns. Now I'm glad you got to this still, because this scene, and I've always thought Freddie Fox is an okay actor. He's sort of born into an acting dynasty family, so
that happens.
I think it's not unfair to say he got a leg up in the industry. His father is one of the most famous actors ever lived, still one of the few surviving cast of A Bridge Too Far, I think, with Anthony Hopkins, and that's probably just him and Anthony Hopkins and Robert Redford that are left now. Not many of them left, and some of the younger ones are still alive. But this scene between the two of them tells you everything you need to know about their relationship growing up. Everything, the way that they handle the dialogue back and forth, the way he talks about her son back home. You can see that there's an undertone to the relationship they had as children growing up, and the stuff about her being taken to court instead of him, probably because he knew that a young pretty girl was more likely to carry favor with Otto and give him power behind the scenes than a young boy kind of thing, because the king didn't lean that way. It's so good, this scene.
Lance, I kept that still because this is with good dialogue, and I guess a lot of stuff in England. Like, I don't know a single friend of mine. I had to look up what this word means. So salubrious. I don't know. It's just something I don't use in my everyday life.
A far less salubrious environment. So
that's
if you're
awesome.
if you say the word, I've used it loads of times. If you say, well, the clothes in that shop were rather salubrious, weren't they? Yeah. It means that they're offering a certain class or panache to the circumstances in which you might wear them. Or so if you were brought up in salubrious surroundings, you were brought up in comfortable and wealthy surroundings. If you were brought up in less than salubrious surroundings, it can also mean, well, the surroundings might be wealthy, but underneath them, they're actually quite corrupted. So that's the way he's using the term here.
That's I love dialogue like that. Like, I'm not used to hearing on my everyday life.
You're not used to big words. We understand.
Oh yeah.
Well, what about lickspittle? That's my favorite House of Dragons word. Lickspittle. Never heard of that before.
That's definitely a cultural. It's good. I love it.
There was also the word ought that was used in this episode, which means anything at all.
Like, even Daemon says to the witch, he's like, if you had counsel, I'd be glad of it. Like, I just don't know anybody who says it's like, I'd be happy to hear it. He says, I'd be glad of it. Like, wow, that's okay.
There's definitely a lean with the dialogue towards the Shakespearean, on the morrow, that kind of thing.
To be or not to be.
Or like Fortnite. No one today uses the word Fortnite.
Yeah,
You're right.
but I like that. I like that.
Like, because he says, he's like, if you have any counsel, I would ask for help. But it's just his way of saying, if you have any counsel to give me, but just it's so subtle and like I said, Shakespearean. I love that kind of older dialogue, and you have to really think about it.
Can you skip forward a bit
Sure.
and just beyond this scene? As much as I love this scene and it's fantastic, poor old Sir Christian gradually getting a smaller and smaller.
Yeah, I'm glad Hugh didn't eat that dog.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that? I wonder if it's still the rat catcher's dog. It looks pretty similar.
That is the rat catcher's dog, but it's actually Miss Alandra.
It's gray. That dog is gray.
That dog is part of the witch's secret coven army, so it's going to be a big plot point. Let's. Okay, so this is when food is being brought into the city, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So we briefly.
That was pure genius. That was pure genius on the part of Rhaena.
Yeah, we briefly see the dad character. He grabs food. You know, we don't know if that daughter is dead or not yet. It was implied that the daughter had died in that crush, but we haven't had confirmation of that yet.
Right.
True.
Yeah. So, and the fact that he is grabbing the food so urgently suggests to me that that daughter is still clinging to life, just about. Do we know the name of the actor? Is he? Sorry,
Kieran
the character.
Bew. Kieran Bew is the name. He was in the TV show The Warrior, which is a great show.
Sorry, what's his name again?
Season. Kieran Bew, Kieran. His last name is Bew. He played. He's now the character's now chief of police in San Francisco. Bill O'Hara.
I'm trying to find that name in the IMDb, and I don't see him.
I don't know if he's dead, but rest in peace, Leon. Because poor Leon, they trampled him and they're beating him to death. It's like Leon yells.
Yeah, no, he's gone. They stab him. This character dies. This character dies because you see loads of people pull out daggers and stabbing him. But isn't the character just called like the blacksmith or something?
Hugh Hammer is his name.
Yeah.
The character's called Hugh Hammer. Why can't I see this guy in the cast list? Don't see him. Oh, here we go. Well, there's a blacksmith who's uncredited called Paul O'Keefe. Are you sure you've not got the actor mixed up?
No, it's Kieran Bew. KIERANBEW.
Yeah.
Did you just put it in the chat?
I see
him. Yeah. I've got him. Thank you.
I never thought I'd see him on any other show other than The Warrior because he was great in The Warrior.
Yeah.
Warrior's a good show.
Big Bill O'Hara in Warrior, and Hugh Hammer in House of the Dragon.
Yeah, Warrior.
I highly recommend Warrior. It was on Cinemax. Now it's on Netflix. Hopefully it will get a fourth season. Just its third season.
I watched half that season. It was really good.
Yeah.
What are we? Sorry to bring us back onto topic. What are we thinking about these? First of all, these two characters, and also the two actors. I'll come to each person in turn. Doug. So the actors. This is Adam and Alan of Hull. Alan spelled Alyn. Played by Abubakar Salim and Clinton Liberty are the two actors.
They did great. I wish they had more scenes. Also, Lord Corlys, I felt like Lord Corlys was involved in season 1 pretty heavily. He was one of the players, and so far in season 2, he's been much more quiet. However, it does seem like they're setting some things up, especially with, I think you said it was Alan and Adam of Hull. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. So there's definitely some setup with these guys, and there's a little bit of a payoff even at the end of this episode. So I'm expecting a lot more going forward. But so far, so good. It's just their scenes are quick. And
the younger brother is played by Clinton Liberty, as I said. He's got some pretty decent credits to date. The two. One of them's a voiceover.
So 90s.
One of them's voiceover on a children's show, but I wondered, has anyone seen Red Election?
Nope, never
Follows
heard of it.
The Danish Secret Service agent Katrine Poulsen and a British spy Beatrice Ogilvy. Stephen Delaney's in it. He was also in the original Game of Thrones. Yeah, I just wonder if anyone's seen this. Looks quite interesting. Trust no one. That log line's been used a few times.
Trust no one.
Yeah, it would be good to see a bit more. I mean, we have to remember these are kind of secondary characters, so I guess they're getting as much screen time as they should. But
yeah, well, there does seem to be the door is opening for a greater role here going forward.
Yeah, I think so. Leroy, any thoughts on these characters or actors quickly?
I kind of, from a moral standpoint, I kind of feel bad for them because obviously Lord Loras is their father, or Lord Valyrian, I'm sorry, is their dad, and he obviously never wanted anything to do with them, and they're obviously older than his children by his wife Rhaena's.
Yeah.
So whatever his reasons for abandoning them and not claiming them, it kind of pisses me off because, fatherhood is very important to me. I mean, I'm very close to my dad. One of the reasons why I'm close to him, because he stepped up to the plate. He did what he was supposed to do as a father.
Yeah.
And, I kind of feel bad for these guys. The older brother, he seems to accept his fate that his father will never claim him as his son. But he doesn't hold it. For some reason, he's very forgiving, though. He doesn't seem to hold it against him. While his brother, understandably, is bitter about it. I'd be bitter about it.
Yes.
So, but because of this, I kind of lost respect for Lord Valyrian because he neglected his responsibilities as a father, and why I'll never understand why some men choose to be deadbeat dads. It's very hurtful, and children need their fathers. So, but how both these men, and both on this show and sometimes in real life, you meet a lot of guys who grew up in single parent homes who are resilient, and these guys have proven to be resilient. But I respect the older brother because he's very forgiving, and he doesn't seem to hold a grudge against his father.
There's a big difference between the concept of legitimacy now compared to the past, but in those days, legitimacy was a really important thing for people that were wealthy or in the royalty.
Yeah,
Lou,
not an excuse.
Big role.
Lou, your thoughts on these two characters? And the actors, please.
Like everyone said, they're not in it a lot, which Lance also didn't. A small note, I just picked up on this and read this. The reason he's shaving his head for, because he has silver hair like his father. So what he's doing is he's actually hiding his hair. That's why he's shaving his head for, which I didn't know that.
I noticed that. I did notice that.
So I didn't just picked up on it. And yeah, like you guys said,
that's interesting that you pointed that out, because I completely missed that. I thought it was more kind of I'm going to see, so this is a piratey ritual type thing, rather than I want to hide the fact that that's my dad thing. But it's I mean it's interesting as well that I think the main reason he wants them to serve under him is, or certainly the older brother, is because he wants his son by his side.
And not to mention Rhaenys.
Not going to say it, but
and even Rhaenys knew that these two, because remember she says in episode, I think it's episode 2, that you keep taking it out on these two young boys. It's not their fault that they were born. Yeah. So Rhaenys knew that he cheated on her, but she accepted it and she still loved him regardless.
Sure. Hi to Faruka Apachichi in the chat. That sounds like a name from one of the kingdoms in Westeros. Please let us know from which kingdom you hail. You're most welcome to the Outcast Creative and this episode of Chew the Fat, House of Dragon, episode 6, mate. You'll find loads of other very cool content on the channel if you have a fish about. We've also got interviews with actors, including one of the cast from season 1 of House of Dragon, on the channel. So do have a look for those. I think you'll find that very interesting.
I hope we see more of these actors. I mean, it's only 2 episodes left. Maybe for season 3, we'll see a lot more of them.
Well, you get the sense that the sea snake is going to play a critical role in what's to come. So there's definitely opportunity there.
Yeah, especially after Aemond wants to form an alliance with the Triarchy.
Right.
It's not impossible. Even though his heart is with the sea, it's not impossible that at some point we might see the sea snake actually on a dragon. It's not impossible. I'll leave that there.
Sure.
I have a feeling the time we might see it might be when somebody actually rescues him during a battle, and the way that they rescue him is by putting him on the dragon and taking him out. I think that might happen in this show. So we shall see. This hour went by fast. He's already wants episode 7. You and me both, mate. I'm pretty keen. I'm pretty invested in the show. Darth, did you want to add anything?
I'm curious.
Characters or the actors?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment. I'm curious what Aemond's leverage is with the Triarchy. He wants to make an alliance. Well, what's his leverage?
Yeah, but do you want to say anything about these two actors or their characters first before you speculate about other plot things?
I like the how they had what's his name, Adam? Yeah, where he's making these comments about we don't have my father doesn't recognize us, and I can understand that. And then he's the guy that's selected for the dragon. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I didn't really have anything to say. I'm curious to what happened to the other one, though, the morose one.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of other actors in this episode, just looking at the people that played the smaller roles, we have Phoebe Campbell, who got a bit of a scene as Lady Rhaenyra Targaryen, looking after the kids and the baby dragon, and she's in the Vale.
I don't like that scene. That's probably the worst scene in this episode.
It's just that scene is there for two reasons. One is to remind you of where they are and what assets they possess in the battle, and two, it's a potential setup that the dragon in the Vale may become hers. I think the reason that we haven't seen her leave for Pentos, and that she clearly expressed her dislike for going to Pentos and going to have a cushy life with the prince, who's clearly trying to set up some kind of marriage alliance. You could read in between the lines of that letter. Is I think she wants to be in the battle. She said that when she didn't want to leave, and I have a feeling she may well try and tame that dragon and become its rider. So that might be a setup for that. So that this scene, redundant though it may have felt, I think is probably going to serve a greater purpose. I quite like Phoebe Campbell in that role. She's not given much to work with, but she's doing perfectly fine with what she has. We should probably give Fia Sabin a shout out as well, who played Queen Helena Targaryen, who I really thought her number was up in this episode. She did great. Yeah, there's Phoebe Campbell.
No, I don't think so. She's like Cassandra. I could remember if you remember from the class that Cassandra was one of the survivors of the Trojan War.
Right. So you think that this character might survive this conflict?
It's possible. Just because Cassandra should survive doesn't mean Helena will. I'm not saying that, but it would be interesting if they did that parallel.
Yeah, I mean we'll see. We'll see. Sea Smoke is a great name for a dragon, as is Puff, the magic dragon.
Puff the magic dragon.
Funny how we were all singing that song as kids, and we didn't really know what it meant until
I didn't know what it meant. I saw Meet the Parents. Yeah.
I just rewatched that, and it's hysterical seeing you to Puff the magic, and he's like, "What are you a pothead, Greg?"
I had no idea that's what that song meant until I saw Meet the Parents.
That is great.
Yeah, it's a great scene. Actually, I might show that scene in the movie quiz, which is coming up soon.
Do we go ahead?
I was going to say one other actor that I want to give a shout out, who's a classic British character actor. I think he might be uncredited, which is a bit of a travesty if that's the case. I'm trying to find his name in the credits here. He's the guy who plays the gossip in the tavern. with the long hair who's spreading the rumors.
Okay.
And I've met him actually. I've met the actor a couple of times over the many years.
Here.
Yes, this chap. Okay. Do we know the name of this character?
He's supposed to be Viserys' half brother.
No, that's he said that. He said that as a post, but I think that's bullshit. I think that was like a drunken sort of. I mean, it could be that it's a setup for something later, but I think it's just drunken bullshit. But forget the name of this actor, but I think it might be Tom Bennett. Is it Tom Bennett? Yes, it is Tom Bennett. Yeah, so he's got 67 credits. He's been acting for a good old while, and has been around for quite a while. He had a part in Rocket Man, which was directed by my friend Dexter Fletcher, who went to the same drama school as me.
Dexter Fletcher, wasn't he in The Bounty as Ellison?
No, this guy wasn't in The Bounty. He didn't start acting until 2004. I know the actor.
No, the guy who directed Rocket Man.
Oh, Dexter Fletcher. Dexter Fletcher was in The Bounty. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I thought that name sounded familiar.
Yeah, he was also in Bugsy Malone and The Long Good Friday and a whole load of other things.
And he was in Dune.
Not the recent one.
With The Rock? Yeah, Dexter Fletcher was in Doom. He played the guy in the wheelchair.
Oh, Doom. Doom, not June. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, DOOM.
So I think that's probably everything on characters and
Did we want to treat Seasmoke as a character?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Let's talk about Seasmoke. Can we get a picture of Seasmoke up?
And the thing was, Lance, I knew that was going to happen. I was hoping I was wrong, but I knew Seasmoke was going to cook that guy.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it was kind of inevitable, really, wasn't it?
Burn, baby, burn.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a poll in the chat in a second, guys. And it's up to the panel to remind me to check the results of the poll before we finish. Who were was there anything else anyone wanted to say about the characters or cast of this episode before we move on?
I would say one thing.
Yeah.
The scene in the tavern when the lady comes in and starts talking about, gaslighting the people in the room about that they're feasting in the palace. I don't know if anyone made the connection or not, but that girl is the same girl that was comforting Aemond when he was in the.
I thought she looked familiar.
Yeah, she was. That's that same girl.
Oh,
yeah, and it's also her. Isn't that the same girl when she's trying to get back into the city in last week's episode?
No.
And was that not her?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that was Alinda.
Ah, okay. Fair enough.
We're gonna have to chart this out. Write a chart.
Yeah, man. It's because some of these characters have such short scenes, and we get so many glimpses of them, and you've got various red-headed supporting females that all look a bit similar, and it's quite easy to get the characters mixed up from time to time. But that happens. I'm just doing my little survey here. Blue, jump in for a second while I finish this. Hence, huge pause of silence. Oh, his camera's off. He must have dashed to the toilet. Doug, do you want to jump in for a second?
Sure. Were we going to talk about the other characters and not Seasmoke right now?
No, let's talk about Seasmoke as a character before we move on.
Yeah, what a show stealer in this one. First off, the dragons in House of Dragon, they're the best dragons pretty much in film, TV show. Like, we get a good serious dose of dragons in these shows. And I love Seasmoke in this. They really drew that scene out, and really, even though we knew it was going to happen, I think everyone knew it was going to happen. There was still some tension in the buildup. It took forever for Sea Smoke to come out of the darkness.
Yeah.
And when you see him, it's intimidating. You see the size difference. And honestly, the way that the character, was it Sir Darklin? The way he approached, who is it?
Sir Stefan.
Sir Stefan, that's right. The way he approached, I said to my wife, I was like, that has got to be the worst way to approach. Like, if I approached a horse like that, the horse would be like, all right, you're done. So to approach a dragon, like creeping up to him, I'm like, no, if you've made the decision to go into this room and claim Sea Smoke, you got to walk in like a boss. You got to. And you're either going to fry or not anyway. At least go out looking like you belong there. This guy did not do that.
Well, neither did Adam of Hull. He was running from Sea Smoke, and yet Sea Smoke chose him.
Yeah. So, well, it seems like Sea Smoke is like, you're the man.
But I commented on earlier. He hit that because he's the half brother of his former writer.
True.
Right. Well, it's just funny too, because there was even a scene where Sea Smoke kind of like lowered his head and neck as if he's submitting, and you're like, what? And then, of course, it just goes.
Well, he was expecting somebody else to come forward, maybe one of the dragon tenders, because the dragon tenders themselves are Valerians, so he probably sensed legitimate blood there. But when the Darkling guy stepped forward, he picked his head up and goes, "Well, who the hell are you?"
Yeah,
this guy looks like one of Milli Vanilli, the surviving member of Milli Vanilli, Fabrice Morvan.
He does look like him in that shot. You're right.
They're making a movie now.
Rain.
They're making a movie on Milli Vanilli right now. It's called Girl, You Know It's True.
Really?
Yeah, I already saw the documentary with Fabrice Morvan. It was a good documentary. In fact, I have Fabrice Morvan's only album, Love Revolution. He's not a bad singer.
Yeah, that documentary was really, really good, and I remember the whole scandal around them at the time it was happening, because they were very big in the charts in the UK. We were going a bit off topic here, but I do recommend that documentary.
They didn't even want to lip sync. They really wanted to sing, but they couldn't.
No, yeah, it was. Well, that's what studios did to people back then. But anyway, that's a topic for the Milli Vanilli stream, which we'll do another time. Okay, so yeah, I have to agree. We definitely have to. We've seen all of the dragons at different times, and they do have their own personalities. But this one got personality screen time, I would say, which is really, really good. And I'm looking for. I kind of like what they did with the dragon's face when he's thinking about it and stuff like that.
If you really think about it, he's actually playing.
That's
he's actually what?
Playing with him.
Playing with him. Yeah, that's a good.
Like a cat playing with its food.
Yeah.
In fact, there are only two animals on this earth that actually play with their food. One is the cat, domestic cat, and the other is the killer whale.
And the third is my son.
I have to be on the receiving end of one of those. I'll go for the cat, the killer whale. Okay, we're going to go for this section.
The horrors I have just loosed.
Well, on the subject of Sea Smoke, who is basically brought to life, by visual effects. Again, I've given the visual effects team a shout out on many an episode prior to this. Fantastic job with the dragon, and of course all the other visual effects shots. There were a couple of shots of castles that were a bit like, that does look very CG. That would take me out of it for a minute. But this, for example, with the way the sun is behind the dragon and the way you're getting the shadows on the different parts of the skin, they're even making the shot deliberately overcomplicated and giving it its own lighting and texture. And so they've really built in a lot of levels to that. I really like it. I
have to say that one of the best animation I ever saw, or CG I ever saw, was on Jurassic Park when they made the dinosaurs look, the first Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that was one of the films that was a next level game changer. Independence Day was another one around that time, and in the same way that Star Wars, of course, was there are several films that are kind of effects milestones. Avatar being another one. This is definitely benchmark effects work for television show, without a doubt. I mean, all the Emmy nominations have come out now. How many Emmy nominations has House of Dragon got? Do we know?
Look it up.
Shall we?
I know Shogun.
Yes, Shogun got nominated. Thank you, Jesus. I hope they win.
Or something like
that. Shogun blew me away. I love Shogun, so I'm wishing them the best. But I'm sure
we love Shogun. We did a break. We did a whole breakdown episode.
If Shogun does not win one Emmy, I'm screaming racism. I'm sorry. I'm serious.
It was the best television out, like by far.
Yeah, if it does not win one Emmy, I'm screaming racism.
I was a big fan of the.
It's going to win a bunch. It's going to win a bunch for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, Lance. Season 1 of House of Dragon got 8 Primetime and Creative Arts Emmy Award nominations. So,
it got how many? Sorry,
8.
8. Okay, all right. Well, that's something. So just in terms of the visual effects for this episode in particular, extremely good. I was very, very, very impressed with the production design, as Douglas mentioned earlier. There's always so much to see in the big scenes, but just that opener with the column of the Lannister army, fantastic stuff. I really love the production design in this show. It's definitely on par with Lord of the Rings, and it needs to be on par with Lord of the Rings, because that's what we're used to seeing, so we've got to see stuff of a similar level. Otherwise it's no good. Let's have a look at that opening shot that Blue's just put up. So that's a great visual effects shot, but then and I think you cut from that to the army, or in fact I think we see the army first and then we cut to that. All the detail on the armor, the cloaks, the halberds and all of that stuff, and it's all very specific to that house. It's just lots of thought gone into it all.
I didn't show it, but they had lions and cages too. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right. The Lannister lion.
Yeah.
So really, really great stuff. Does anybody want to add anything in particular about the special effects, Doug? Because we're relatively close to wrapping up.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I appreciate that, when they change sets, you feel like you're in a different area. There's a lot of attention to light and darkness, a lot of like sunbeams angling down through rooms. When people are standing outside in a courtyard, there's like 4 layers of background as the haziness continue. So this is what I wish I could get every time I turn on the television. I want to lose myself in these worlds, and House of Dragon gives me the chance to do that because it's so convincing to look at.
Anybody else want to say anything about the visual effects or production design, costume / makeup? Or obviously it's all very good.
Yeah,
but we're running a bit over, so
I can say one real quick glance at the end when Rhaenyra's coming down her dragon. Before the dragon hits the water, when it puts its wings up, you actually see the water effect from the air of her dragons coming off the water. It's just small things like that. I'm like, that is fantastic.
No, that's good. Yeah, I do like that.
See, that all seduces your imagination, and as you watch, like, those little details, it never breaks the illusion, and so you're just held in place as a viewer. I love that.
Yeah, it's nice to watch a series where the people making it actually give a crap about what they're doing.
I mean, that to me, that really, really is very, very evident about this show. Okay, so we're going to go to our last section now, and I'm going to ask each of our panel this question.
Hold to your courage! Hold to your wits!
So, what is your favorite moment or favorite line or both from this episode? And Doug, I know you're pushed for time, so I'm going to come to you first.
My favorite moment was the sea smoke torching that guy. It felt like a build up there, and we got what we thought we were going to get, and it was pretty spectacular. There's something about the moment right before, when that dragon takes that breath and you see the glow appearing in their throat. It's like a perfect cue for, oh no, like here it comes. And then that guy just got torched. So that was my favorite moment. The dragon made the call. You're not it, buddy.
You're a sick man, Doug.
What's that?
You're a sick man, Doug. My favorite moment was when that guy got burned alive and he screamed and the other guy cut his throat.
My favorite line, and other people will probably agree with this one or have already earmarked it, is that line talking about the crown. It's not a prize to be won, but a burden to bear. And it was one of the only lines I wrote down in my notes as I went as a pure quote. I thought that really set the tone for the sense of legitimacy with all the people competing for this Game of Thrones kind of thing. So that was my favorite line, and that was my favorite.
Okay, thank you very much. Leroy, very quickly, please. Favorite line or moment or both?
My favorite line, I'm going to say, is when basically Aegon fired his mother. Not Aegon, Aemond says, "Your services are no longer required. Bye."
Domestic something, right?
Yeah. It's time for you to enjoy more domestic pursuits. That was a great line. I wrote that one down in my notes. Fantastic. Darth?
Well, there wasn't really a line that really stuck out for me that I wanted to write down.
Or favorite moment or favorite moment scene.
The favorite moment, the dragon summoning scene is very cool, but I as much as I like that scene, I think I'm going to go with the Larys scene where he's talking with Aemond, because the psychology going on in that scene is really it's also a bit personal to me because confession, I have a clubfoot as well, so it is a bit I can relate to that conversation.
Great. Blue.
Yeah, Aemond calling Larys a toad.
That was tight.
Because like you guys, everyone said, he can see through his bullshit.
Yeah, that's a great moment. Do you have a favorite scene above that, or same? Is that the same scene?
Oh yeah, same scene, because he goes and then to get my grandfather back here, and it just showing again how smart Aemond is. Get my grandfather back. I don't need you. You're just here for what you are. I want Otto back here because I know what to expect from Otto.
My favorite scene, as I mentioned before, is the one between Alicent and her brother, and that also contains my favorite line of dialogue. And it's the moment where Freddie Fox says to Alicent, "He is said to be kind." And there's so much going on in that line, and I feel that part of that conversation is him also saying, "My sister was kind once, but because she lived here for so long, she became unkind." That's the subtext of that whole moment of that conversation. And the brother restores Alicent's humanity in that scene. Oh, I love that. There's so much going on in that scene. If you watch it again, it's so layered and complex and beautiful, and the actors really make the most of the great dialogue that they've been given, just like they do on the Acolyte every week. So yeah, fantastic. So ratings out of 10, Doug, for this episode?
This episode I would give an 8 out of 10.
Okay, Leroy.
Like I said, this is probably the weakest episode, so I give it. But I'm going to be better than Doug. I'm going to give it like 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, Darth.
I'm going to give it a 10. I love this episode. It's episode 2 and episode 6 are my favorite episodes to date. 2 and 6.
Yeah, I have to say I really, really liked this episode. My only negatives on it would be that there was the romance with Mysaria I think it could have been set up a lot better. I'm perfectly. I have no issue with it happening. I think that there is a romantic interest for Alicent. I think Rhaenyra should have a romantic interest. That's actually what's missing in her storyline. And I think if this had been done more convincingly and there had been chemistry in that direction between the characters established earlier, which we haven't had, it would have served the show so much better. That undermines this episode a little bit for me, but I still think very, very good. I give it 8 out of 10. Fantastic. So we're going to be back roughly at the same time next week. Might start about half an hour earlier.
Yeah, don't forget your poll.
What's your blue collar give it?
Sorry, blue collar. Yes. Did you rating out of 10? Sorry, mate.
I'll say 7.5. That's all. I don't want to get into details, but 7.5. Didn't hate it. It was okay. That's it.
I can tell you that we're just in the poll, but at the moment, Sea Smoke, 4 characters on offer, has 67%.
Wow, that's commanding lead.
67. It is a commanding.
Who came in second and third?
The other 3 are all equal. They're Prince Aemond, Alicent Hightower, and Mysaria are all at 11%, and Sea Smoke is at 67%. Only 9 people have voted. You guys can vote as well, so you could swing it if you want to do that. But yeah, there's way more people that have been dipping in and out than that. I need to do these polls much earlier. So I'm just going to go around my guests quickly. Thank them very much for coming. Thanks to everyone in chat for taking part. Coming up on the channel on Thursday, please don't forget, it was originally scheduled for this evening, but it got moved. I have got my interview with writer, director, actress, and producer Nikki Marshall. She will be on with me, I think 11:30 UK time, so quite late. But of course, she's based in Los Angeles, and I think it's going to be a tight hour, so the interview is not going to be one of my 2.5-hour marathons. But I am very, very much looking forward to talking to this woman. I've followed her career for a really, really long time, and she's also supposed to be sending me a link to watch Summer of Violence, her directing debut. So really looking forward to seeing. So that should be a fantastic interview. Then on the 29th of July, my final interview for this month is with director Neil Marshall, director of Dog Soldiers. So he's going to be coming on, and Doomstone and Doomsday and the one with the goblin in the cave and the girls go The Descent, which is one of his best movies. He also directed 2 of the best episodes of Game of Thrones. So I look forward to talking to him about all of that. That's going to be pretty interesting. Douglas, what you got coming up? Do you want to plug anything?
Just if you are a writer and you are interested in a book with an alternative to the hero's journey, and doesn't mean you don't like the hero's journey, but an alternative, The Heroine's Labyrinth. It just came out a couple months ago, and hopefully you find it to be a great read.
That's available on Amazon, is that right?
Amazon. Yeah, absolutely.
Gonna see if I can
if you want to get some general idea of what it's about, you could try my website, douglasaburton.com. There's a video that introduces the first archetype of the Heroine's Labyrinth, which is the labyrinth itself, and I use numerous clips from movies, all of our favorites, Aliens, Terminator, you name it, Wizard of Oz, and I blend it together so I can make my case for that archetype.
Fantastic. And not forgetting, of course, the Hunger Games lady who, of course, did it first. So
Katniss Everdeen.
Yeah, Katniss Everdeen, indeed. I have put the link for Douglas's channel in the chat, so you can probably find the links to all of his stuff from there. Leroy, I know you've got a ton of books out on Amazon that are doing pretty well.
14. I got 14 books on Amazon. This here, I brought 4 of my books with me to the Bahamas for reading material. This
you brought your own books to your holiday to read.
Yep.
Don't you read someone else's books on your holiday?
This is my Frontier series. Right now there's 3 books. All 3 books are in the top 100 on in Kindle on Amazon. This is the latest one, which was published this month. And when I get back home to America, this is the first book in my new series, Jonah Chamberlain, Mountain Man. When I get back home to America, I'm going to start working on the second book. I hope to finish it by September. So from here on out, I'm working on 2 series. I already published 4 books this year, 2 of them in May, and hopefully by the end of the year, at most, I'll probably at least submitted or completed and publish 5 or 6 total.
You're a machine. Prolific. You're a machine, Leroy. Put the name Leroy Peters into Amazon.com or .co.uk, wherever you may be, and you'll see all of Leroy's books there. Darth, do you want to plug anything, Matt?
The only thing I'm going to plug is The Outcast Created. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to watch Lance's movie, The Journey. It's Twilight Zone level good.
That's what my cousin Deanna said.
That's very kind. Your cousin watched it?
No, I told my family I was doing a podcast here in my room, and my cousin Deanna suggested that y'all like and donate money, dollar signs.
Oh, bless. That's very kind of her. So thank you very much. Blue, we're going to be on tomorrow night with the Nielsen ratings, of course, where one of the things we're going to be discussing and talking about is For Those About to Die, which is the new Roman gladiator.
I'm almost done watching that.
I saw the first episode. I loved it.
The show is good. I got one more episode left. I have one.
Oh, so you're almost done with it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, I'm already on episode 6, so I'm nearly done with it. I will be done with it by tomorrow.
After this, I'll start watching it then.
I just completed episode 9 last night, so I'm probably watching episode 10 tonight.
It's one of the topics. It's not the only topic, but it's one of the things we'll cover tomorrow. Okay. I might do a special on it. Don't forget, we are also starting Spartacus: Blood and Sand, the first season with Andy Whitfield, and I'm going to talk about
Andy Whitfield.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Andy Whitfield's legacy from that show in detail in the show, and I am actually going to write to his family and see if they want to come on. Not the first episode, but maybe when we get towards the end, and see if they want to come on and maybe talk about him and the show and what it meant to him and all that kind of stuff. See, the best way we can honor his memory really is by watching the best thing he ever did, and it's still exceptionally good. I've just watched the first 4 episodes again. I think it's about the 10th time I've seen it.
I watched the first 2 episodes again.
It's fantastic writing. Have you seen it, Douglas? Spartacus,
I have. You about Spartacus? I have not.
Yeah.
What?
Highly recommended. It sounds. Oh man, so it's really strongly recommended.
Yeah. Listen,
it's better than the Kirk. It's more historically accurate, and it's better than the Kirk Douglas Spartacus.
It took me ages. It took me ages to watch it because it has that 300 aesthetic. It looks like a comic book. It's all shot in studio. There's loads of green screen, so you've got to go in knowing that this is a comic book aesthetic. But watch it until the end of episode 2. Don't just watch the episode 1. Episode 1 is a whole load of backstory and setup. Episode 2 is where you know what you've got.
I usually give a new show 3 episodes minimum.
I do as well. Once you've seen John Hannah and Lucy Lawless work with their characters, you know you're in
John Hannah really surprised me on Spartacus, because before Spartacus, all I knew John Hannah was from The Mummy as Rachel Weisz's idiot brother. He did a superb performance as Batiatus. And Lucy Lawless, I hate her. She came a long way from Xena Warrior Princess.
We're going to get into all of that on Sunday. I don't want to keep everybody any later. We've hit our 2-hour mark. So thanks to everyone on the panel. Blue, of course, we're going to be on tomorrow again with the Nielsen ratings. Did you want to shout out anything else at all, or was we all good?
No, tomorrow, watching The Sandlot. So.
All right. Oh, God, I love that film. Absolutely love that film. Well, look, thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll be back with this on Monday. Nielsen ratings tomorrow night at 10 p.m. UK. We haven't got anything lined up for Wednesday yet because, of course, I've got an interview with Nicky Marshall on Thursday. And we're done with The Acolyte. Oh, what a relief. Until tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, guys, I'm going to leave you with this.